welcome, football stalkers. It's
Ish.
your boy, the
Always.
master tactician fan, Koza Ivan. And today we are going to be talking about the purchase of Bidvest Wits. With me, I am joined by a channel from Huele Adinao. Tuli, please, my guy, introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. My name is Tuli. I'm from now. That's my YouTube channel. Yeah, man. And I'm a Bidvest Wits supporter. Heartbroken of the news that came out this past weekend. And it came out in the evening. So yeah, I've been having sleepless nights since. And thank you for having me here, man.
No stress, man. So, guys, obviously, a lot of people are aware about what transpired last week with the sale of Bidvest Wits to TTM. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name; it's too long. But yeah, so it was sold to TTM, and Tuli did mention that he's a Bidvest Wits supporter and heartbroken. Not only him, but a lot of people are heartbroken by a 99-year-old club being sold. That's a lot of history. Tuli, my guy, your thoughts. Just tell me what's going through your mind with regards to the sale that happened last week.
Honestly speaking, man, I was disappointed in the manner in which everything just happened, because like you already said, it's a 99-year old club. They were turning 100 years next year, and that this club was essential in helping South Africa come out of apartheid and all of that. They were also doing their part with regards to that. They were part of the struggle for freedom within South Africa back in the days, and to see all of that go to waste just because I don't even know why, because some would say Wits has financial issues, some would say that the main sponsor wants to sponsor the league and all of that. But honestly speaking, I'm defeated, man. I'm hurt because I started supporting this club, you can sort of say, just under 8 years ago, just before Gavin Hunt joined the club. I joined Wits as a supporter, and for it to just go away like that, hey man, it's really not nice. I'm hurt, honestly speaking.
You touched on obviously the history of the club and the manner in which this thing was conducted, and we hear reports about a possibility of Bidvest being the main sponsor of the league, and I guess one looks at it and say that's a conflict of interest. But now, even if Bidvest was to be the main sponsor for the league, then how come Wits as a club? Because Bidvest is not the only sponsor that Wits had. Why then the Wits club is no more? Because I think that's the whole point. It's understandable. Let's look at rugby, for instance. You have Vodacom Bulls, you have Vodacom Cheetahs, or you have so basically the sponsor's name was there before the name of the club. But Blue Bulls has been Blue Bulls. The Cheetahs have been the Cheetahs. And if Vodacom or other sponsors move on, the club will remain. And I think then it comes down to, why is then Wits as a club cease to exist? It's one thing if Bidvest is going to be a main sponsor to the league, but for sure there are other sponsors who are willing to come on board, rather than, let's say, the business guy from Toyando who comes in and basically just changes everything. Look, we'll come back to the part about buying statuses to the PSL and stuff, but why didn't they go and find a sponsor or a business person who is willing to continue with the Wits franchise?
I think that is the big question on a lot of supporters' minds and all that, because a lot of people are asking themselves, because the Wits management hasn't come out to say anything, they haven't come out and rubbished the reports when it was reported that TTM's owner might buy the club after he sold his club's Glad African Championship status, because he said he sold that so that he can buy a PSL team, you know. And no one at Wits came out and said, no, that's a lie. Or, you know what Bloemfontein Celtics has basically been trying to do with, you know, with regards to Tim Sukazi buying their club status. No one did that at Wits. And it's a big concern because I look at it, then I ask myself, does this mean, because Wits before Bidvest came on was alone. They stood by themselves with the university. So then you ask yourself questions of like, hey, what's really happening here? You know, does this mean that the Wits people, that the Bidvest people went over Wits and just sold the club? Or what really happened there? You know, because the players themselves came out and said they found out on social media that their club has been sold. So I think there's a lot of misinformation and also the management of the club not coming out and owning up to what's happening. They're not transparent with everything that's happening in the club, and it's sort of disappointing because this is a big club, man. They're small, but in terms of their history, they're a big club, you know. So it's very disappointing. And also regarding the PSL, man, I have a problem really with this whole PSL status purchasing and all of that. I'm hurting, honestly speaking, right now.
Okay, firstly, we to celebrate 100 years milestone by next year. It's so unbelievable. Secondly, after the club was acquired by the Bidvest, which is owned by Brian Joff, the multimillionaire in South Africa, we never thought that he will ever sell the club. Looking at the development structures that he has at the club, from age 6 to the senior team. Now you hear that the club has been sold to TTM, which I don't believe that has got the financial muscles equals to Bidvest Wits itself. So, firstly, we don't believe that, and if it's true that it's sold, take into consideration that I've been the Wits supporter from 1995 till today. It means that I don't have any club locally to support. That's the reaction. We are unhappy that we don't have clubs to support at all.
Yeah, I mean, let's touch base on the policy of the PSL regarding the purchasing of a club member. Now we'll refer back to the PSL handbook. Now this now is going back to clause 14. Acquisition and ownership of the club. Now, if we concentrate on the main clause regarding, in an event of a member club or controlling interest in a member club being sold, transferred, or disposed of, the following defining elements of the member club will remain unchanged, save where express and additional written approval is granted by an executive committee, namely. So basically, they're referring to 4 things that need to be part of this permission that's going to be granted by the executive committee. The city or town in which the home venue or the mother club is situated, colors of the club member, name of the member club, and marks of the member club. Now, my question is, when it comes to this purchasing of clubs, the negotiation phase. Now, obviously, you can have the interested party who wants to buy the club, but what about the supporters? What about the municipalities? Because the move by the club will affect the supporters and the municipality. What about their views? What platform is there for supporters such as yourself and people who are from the municipality of Johannesburg who are going to be affected by the club basically ceasing to exist in this manner even? What channels do they have in basically going in and intervening? Because I think there needs to be something like that. I mean, we can look at the top leagues in the world. Clubs are a representation of the people from that area. And once a club gets relegated, it's bad news. I mean, people cry. It's devastating when a club gets relegated, wherever in the top leagues in the world. Now, the concept of somebody buying a status, basically it's buying your way in the PSL. It's not even a case of buying a club like you normally see, where guys with big money come and buy a club and they continue. This is not that. This is people buying their way into the PSL. It's plain and simple. It's like that. And when you look at that, it affects the people from those municipalities. It affects supporters. Now, we're not going to talk too much about obviously what's going on in other clubs, but one can also refer to Bloemfontein Celtics. Now, imagine Celtics as well ceasing to exist.
Yeah.
Surely this is not right. Now, I don't know. What's your take on this policy that the PSL has regarding the purchasing of clubs?
Yeah, it's affecting us a lot in municipalities. It's affecting everybody. And then when you look at the aim of the TTM and the culture that they are going to implement, it's not going to be the same as the culture that the vets have implemented. We do, as supporters, we do support this club based on the culture that they are implementing into the football. Not just we only supported them because they are playing in the PS. We support based on the culture that they implement. But when I'm reading what the TTM is trying to do, firstly, when they said they cannot afford a coach like Gavin Hunt, in the statement that they made before, it shows that they cannot afford to play in the PSL. Then who's that person who's gonna move with the Vets to TTM and support the TTM? And then they cannot afford a coach like Gavin Hunt, but they want to play in the PSL, which means you're gonna support a team that is going straight to the first division, led Africa.
Honestly, I think in South Africa, sports forums and supporters clubs are just there for the sake of, let's have a supporters club. And I don't think clubs invest too much in that, unless you are one of the big clubs, like your Pirates, your Kaizer Chiefs, and your Sundowns or Super Sports, Even in that, they don't necessarily take too much what those people say, they don't listen to them. And which I think is a problem, because imagine if Vets, one, firstly, consulted the players regarding the sale, and two, they consulted the supporters. Obviously, those two entities would have said no, or they would have someone had a lot of questions, which I'm not sure if the management wanted to answer those questions. So that's the first issue there. And then now, the moment you move now from the supporters clubs, the players, and you go to the municipality, because this is financial gains which a municipality is losing now, in terms of the Vert Stadium and all of those type of things, because now you ask yourself, what's going to happen to that stadium? Is that stadium going to just chill, or is it only going to be used for Varsity Cup? All those type of stuff. Those are financial and logistics that need to be factored into this. And some people would be like, no, but those people thought about it. They're just moving this to another city. So that city will gain that money. But Johannesburg, like you said, is losing that money. It's losing a support base, and people will take you back to times like when Ajax came to be in the 90s, when they bought, I think it's Silver Stars and, no, not Silver Stars, clubs like Spurs or something back in Cape Town, and they formed Ajax. When Cape Town City bought Mpumalanga Black Aces and formed Cape Town City, so you look at those and people are like, those are your success stories. They formed a new fan base and it created new rivalries in that city. But for me, there's a disconnect there where I'm like, so in South Africa, do we not care about history? Whereas if you go back to like your English Premier Leagues, your La Ligas, and all of that, there's so much rich history connected with a football club that when a club is doing bad on the field of play, supporters voice out their opinions and they actually listened to them, because their sports forums are actually to like Germany. They have a rule. in their books of a 50+ rule, where basically fans have a 51% vote on ticket sales, on those type of stuff. And if you come back to South Africa, I don't think that exists. That's why we are seeing a culture of PSL statuses being bought and all of that. And also you look at that and then you ask yourself questions like, does this necessarily benefit our football? I don't think so. Some people might fight me against it, but I don't think it really benefits our football that much, because teams don't want to stay in the lower division long enough to fight for themselves to get onto the top tier. They just look at the PSL money and that's what they want. So I think SAFA and PSL need to revise, or the National Soccer League need to revise this clause of teams just purchasing PSL status for the sake of it.
Yeah, because you correct in mentioning that it is a culture. I think we're in a position to say that it is a culture that stretches years back, where there's a lot of stories with regards to certain clubs' existence. You mentioned Cape Town City. As much as one can say Cape Town City in Cape Town, it's a good club and all that, but so as Black Aces. Black Aces was a good club, and it was there in Mpumalanga. So people in Mpumalanga lost out on the club, and that's what it comes down to. Now, one can talk about, obviously, one person's losses, another person's gains, but it shouldn't be that way. There's a reason why you have the first tier and second tier leagues in the country and all the other countries in the world. You need to gain promotion. The fact that EPM is struggling to even get promotion into the PSL, that means they haven't. We can talk about Jomokos, a rich club. We can, in terms of history. We can talk about Morocco Swallows, a rich club in terms of history. But you need to earn your way into the PSL. You can't buy your way into the PSL. And look, we can talk about, obviously, other businessmen, we can talk about other stuff, but it comes down to the policy of the NSL handbook. As soon as that clause is being scrapped, changes a lot of things. Because one thing is that when it comes to businessmen or any form, is people will be looking to exploit clauses in the handbook. And in this case, we can call it a loophole or whatever. But there's a clause that says it's legal to do so. And people are doing so. Until the PSL decides against that, then this culture will be eradicated. Now, one mentioned the fact that clubs that go to an extent of selling their statuses are struggling financially. Now, one of the things that we are not doing in this league is that clubs are not listed entities. So therefore, they're not obliged to reveal their comprehensive financial statements. But I believe that the PSL needs to amend that, not for clubs to be listed entities, but for the financial statement that the PSL is receiving from clubs. In this case, from what I read, it should be audited financial statements. They need to have a form of financial fair play type of system, where there needs to be, let's say, for instance, a wage gap, where a club, such as let's say Free State Stars, for example, Free State Stars financials is this. They need to have an algorithm that determines a wage cap, where Free State Stars can't pay more than a certain amount of money. That way, making it financially sustainable, to avoid having a situation where clubs probably are overpaying a player or are overpaying a board member or whoever, to a point where now the club is suffering financially. And also, I believe that clubs need to be involved in terms of interacting with the fans. I believe that it hasn't been done that much, where clubs are interacting with fans to a point where stadium attendance and all those things are becoming a norm, which changes a whole complexity when it comes to, obviously, you guys having a say in what happens with the club and also the financial gains of the club. Now, those are the things that I feel that the PSL needs to move to, because what's happening this season will continue to happen in the seasons to come, where other businessmen will come, because they can't get promotion from the PSL, they buy a certain club that's having financial problems. It's going to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at a team like Amazulu. Amazulu bought Tanda Royal Zulu's PSL status after they won promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Tanda Royal Zulu won promotion to the PSL. Amazulu, which failed to do that, bought its PSL status. And then these ones took up the other one's PSL NFD place. Do you realize just how damaging that was, one, to the players that worked their socks off the entire season to ensure that they gain promotion, only for the other guys that failed to do that to just get a place. It's a culture which, like you said, business people, but also there's a lot of issues, I think, in our books, like in terms of our constitutions and all that in SAFA, these books that they release, there's a lot of flaws and loopholes in that, and people are exploiting it, And I think the day as a country we realize that history and fans' importance. I mean, COVID is exposing it right now in Europe, that people are playing in empty stadiums. In South Africa, it's actually going to be like a normal thing if people play in empty stadiums. Most teams play generally in empty stadiums, unless it's a derby or Sundowns is playing or Celtics is playing, and it's not even full. It's just a section of the stadium that are supporters. So we are used to that. So the moment in South Africa we realize that fans are that important or integral, within a team, that's the day we will see an increase in our stadiums and more fan involvement, and that will grow our brand of football. But the moment we still continue with this culture of, no man, I'm struggling down there and I want to be up there, I have money. For me, I look at that whole thing of buying a PSL status. I'm like, if you as the owner, you have 16 million, let's say that's the amount you are buying in the lower league. Fix your academy structures, fix your infrastructure, fix all those things that will allow you to bridge the gap between you and the PSL, so that by the time you get into PSL, you actually are ready. You have players that are equipped and ready to handle the pressure that comes with playing up there, rather than spending, because most of these teams spend 2 years in the PSL and then they're relegated to the NFD again, or the Glad African Championship. So then what's the point?
I was gonna touch base on that when you mentioned Amazulu, the same Amazulu that's also facing relegation this season, and the same. I mean, let's come back to Vets now with the sale of Vets, and by the way, I need to also I read up on an article yesterday, and the CEO of Bidvest and the CEO of Vets have come out saying that the club hasn't been sold. That's what they say. Now, I look at it and say, well, that could be the case, but also they could be saying that because the deal hasn't been finalized, because it still has to go to the executive committee of the PSL. So up until they approve it, because now obviously TTM, he came out and said that, look, they bought it, and I think now it's now up to the executive committee to then approve it, and then they say will be done. So in that spirit, I think they're coming out and saying, look, it's not finalized yet. Or they haven't said it hasn't been finalized. They say there's no club that's been sold. That's what they're saying now. Now, coming back to, let's say, looking at the reports that it's being sold, you have players now who obviously have come out. Matupu, who said he found out from social media. He was never. And now from reports that are coming out, players are panicking. Players are securing moves to other clubs. Basically, we're gonna have Vets without the players that we saw, the Tulane Tlatwayo, the Domingos, the Hoto,
Hotos,
Now all these guys, if you now get into a situation where the core of the team is now gone, how sure are we that TTM in this case will remain in the PSL? Because the fact that they're unable to even get into the PSL, now how are they going to sustain being in the PSL when the core of the Vets players are leaving? even the coach himself, he said,
yeah, and I mean,
Kevin Hunt.
yeah.
And Kevin, I don't know. What's your take, man?
It's not even only four players. It's about 8 regular players. I will start. Is Tulane Tlatwayo, is Mkwanazi, is Tlanti at the back. It's Tabang Monare, is Tabang Monare, it's Patute Zonange, is Hashim Domingo. Then we got Gift Mutupa at Farang. It's only 7 that I know of that are the high earners, and there were talks of Pelembe is one of the high earners, and then some of the teams in the PSL cannot afford Pelembe. Pelembe was due to come and sign a renewal with Wits. Now also is among the top earners that the TTM will not consume with Wits if they are selling. Wits is going to Limpopo or is being sold to TTM.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, if you say 8, then what's left? Because look, we talk about them buying into their way into the PSL, and once the core of the team is no more, then I mean, we are probably likely to see a similar situation to what we're seeing at Amazulu. The same Amazulu that bought into the PSL is the same Amazulu that's struggling, that's facing relegation. And who's to say that TTM will not be facing the same challenge of basically now losing the core players who made Wits into what Wits is today, and now the players are no more. I mean, who are they going to bring in? What are they going to be left with from the club? Are they going to take the same players that they had who couldn't even get into the PSL through promotion? And what is going on?
Technically, they don't have players because TTM is also sold to the team that is in ABC Motsepe. So TTM, technically, they don't have players currently if they don't move with the Wits squad. But from the Wits squad, the Wits is on number 6, played in Africa because of the players that we just mentioned.
Yes.
And then we got 2 goalkeepers as well. Bafana Collapse, Ricardo Goss, Brendan Peterson. There are no offers yet for them from other teams, but I don't believe they're gonna be moving as well with the team, and they will never run short of offers. Those are the 2 regular players. Whether you put Goss, whether you put Peterson, is the same in polls. So those are 10 players. I'm not mentioning other players that we never heard anything of them, like Cole Alexander is playing regularly. So, and then we got Zita Macheke playing regularly. Those are the core of Wits. Should they continue playing like that, Wits will be maybe number 3 at the end of the season. But if they are not going to the TTM, where are you expecting TTM next season?
I already have a problem with that. It means it already shows that these guys are coming into the league inexperienced and they are going to struggle. Yes, I know in PSL it's a culture also to come into a new season and buy 8 new players into a team and expect that very same 8 players with the ones you already have to somewhat perform miracles, you know. And I don't know how they're going to do this, because a lot of Wits players, I can't see them wanting to move with the team to Toyando, because that affects their lives in a very big way. You know, yes, they're footballers and they're used to moving around, but it's most of the time these things are planned out. Whereas this one, it's so abruptly, it just happened out of nowhere. So they can't afford Kevin Hunt, so they're going to come with their inexperienced coach who struggled in the Glad African Championship. They're going to come in there with a team, again, that's inexperienced. They struggled in the Glad African Championship. 3, they're going to stay with basically the crop of players at Wits that Gavin Hunt was still trying to get to PSL level. He was working with. Those are the guys that are going to stay. The inexperienced PSL guys are going to stay. The others are going to easily get moves to other PSL teams. So already there, it's a struggle, man. So I don't know how TTM is planning on doing this whole thing. And in a way, when those reports came out that the owners are saying this, I'm hoping internally that it's true, that these guys of TTM, because I saw publications calling it embarrassing, or the PSL said it's embarrassing how TTM went about this whole thing, coming out and saying they bought the club. They shouldn't have gone that way, because I also think they got too excited, So I'm really hoping internally that this deal didn't go through. I would really love that, but I think it did go through. It's just a matter of the PSL approving it and everything. But yeah, man, I don't know, because also my biggest worry, I don't know how you feel about this, it's the academy guys. I really hope the Wits Academy stays at Wits, because I don't want those players getting lost in the system.
Also, when we talk about the club, this Wits club, first, when I was telling you about the development structures, the club has about 6 teams going forward. It's got about 6 teams that are also, if we dissolve the Wits senior team, which means we no longer have Wits University as a club. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, thinking about those structures from under 11, 13, 15, 19, 17 and 19 to the senior team, now has all of it to relocate to Limpopo. But here they're only talking about the Wits senior team, but the Wits for years has been a team of development. Even the players that are playing for Wits, 90% of them have been playing through the ranking structures of Wits. So, if we say Wits is going to Limpopo, we're talking about the Bidvest Wits, the senior team. What's happening to the lower ranks?
I guess it's something that's not being asked as to, because, from what we understand, the purchase of the club, or in this case, one speaks about the status and all that, is that basically the deal is struck when you take everything that's in the Wits franchise. But they've obviously came out and said, listen, because we can't afford Gavin Hunt, we're gonna let him go. Same as other top earners in terms of players, we're gonna let them go. We're not gonna hold anyone hostage. They even spoke about the administration side of things. They said they're gonna let go of the administration that Wits has. They're gonna use their own. And you are rightly in now asking about the development, because now, as much as we can talk about the senior team, in certain players relocating to Toyando and all that, but what about the academy? What's going to happen? Is the academy also going to be relocated to Toyando? Are these kids going to accept, them and their parents, are they going to accept relocating to Toyando? What's the story there?
That's the big issue. That's the big issue, that I don't think TTM has got those financial masses to can acquire everything that Wits has. And then, if I can take other point into consideration, Bidvest Wits is owned by 40% is for the university, 60% brand Joe. Now I'm asking myself, if Molauzi is buying whole 100% of Wits, 60% of brand Joe and 60% of Wits. So I wonder if he's buying everything from both owners, and if he's not doing those, so he's buying only brand Joe's shares. Does Wits, the university, allows the team to move to Limpopo? I assume, because the way he decides, nobody's telling him anything. But if it goes to 40% Wits and 60% him being the major shareholder, then you're gonna go back to the Swallows troubles, where the other shareholders were in Cape Town, others in Joburg. That's led to the demise of Swallows. There is no more Swallows. Swallows had to be rebuilt from the scratch. Remember. Yeah, so if they will have shareholders in Joburg, shareholders in Limpopo, That's going to be Solo's problem. That the other meetings must be in Limpopo, the other meetings must be in Gauteng, and then there'll be a lot of traveling in between the both shareholders. It is going to lead to the Swallows problem. There we go again. Does the team, is the team going to survive?
Oh.
If it's going to be, if it's going to be faced with that situation, is it going to survive? Mentioning that the squad that they're not going to acquire the whole squad. Now, if they're going to have two shareholders based in different provinces, is the team going to survive those two things? It's not going to acquire the whole squad. It cannot afford the whole squad. Cannot afford that coach that kept Wits in the PSL. Now is this thing of the two major the two shareholders. If he doesn't acquire whole 100% of the club. But to us supporters, to tell you the truth, we got no way to go. We got no way to go. Somebody who was not a true supporter of Wits can move to any other team that he sees it fit to go to. But to us, those who've been supporting Wits for too long, I don't think we got anywhere to go.
Yeah, because there's been talks about the brass band moving to that club and that club, Kevin Hunt moving to Kaiser Chiefs.
No. Me, I feel sorry for Kevin Hunt for what he did to the club. I really feel sorry because, yes, the club was floating within the league. Between 2 to 8 and 10 sometimes, or 11, 12. But what was impressing us about the team was building and the team was struggling with what they have. They never went into the market and say, no, you're going to take somebody who's going to give us the league. They were using the people who are, it's like those people who are unemployed. You hire people who are unemployed. You are taking the youth that is unemployed and employ them into your company. That's what Wits has been doing for years. With all the players that you know, the Stalkers, Fredericks, the Bradley Canels, the Lavas Mothalas, and all the players that I can mention. So those are the things that caused the team to have such supporters like us. Because when Mothala was playing at Wits, I was same age as Lavas Mothala. I was happy to see my age group is playing. And he's playing for professional team. That was 1995. Bradley Canelo, almost the same age as me. I'm happy to see my age group is playing. So now, that's not the culture that other teams is using in the PSL. I was telling other guys about the Sundowns. Picho took Sundowns in January, same year as Gavin Hunt came to Wits in June. Then we talk how many players people used between January 2012 and now that are coming through the ranking structure and are playing regularly. I was mentioning players like Madisha, then you have only Mkhulise and then Makhalwa. That's the only three players. But we go to Wits, it's different story. And then we check from 2012, Gavin Hunt coming in, and 2020, Gavin Hunt is still in. Gavin Hunt has 3 cups with the same players that he was taking from the development structures. So you will see how the team was acquiring, how the team was getting these supporters. The team was playing players that are living with us in the street here. That's how the team was getting supporters. But if you go down to TTM has got different stories. It's not, even when you check the announcements, doesn't fit into what we want to support. It doesn't fit.
But now, does TTM not have its own academy? So now you have an influx of 200 players now, extra, or let's say, I don't know how many players were in the Wits academy. Let's say 100. So do you have now?
Well, the same principle that I'm basically explaining now with regards to the fact that TTM bought Wits, that they now own everything that is Wits. Is the same way as TTM, the one that was in Glad African Championship, when they sold their status to another business person. So everything with TTM was sold And then obviously that.
No. They only sold their PSL status. Their Glad African Championship status. The team stayed. They only sold their status there. You shake. So which means the Glad African structure, the players, everyone still belongs to them. Sorry, the TTM structure, everyone still belongs to them. And they are taking that to the PSL because they bought the team and PSL status.
Let's move on. I mean, you guys as supporters, what's going to happen if let's assume that this thing goes through, that ceases to exist? What will then happen to the supporters?
But to us supporters, to tell you the truth, we got no way to go. We got no way to go. Somebody who was not a true supporter of Wits can move to any other team that he sees it fit to go to. But to us, those who've been supporting Wits for too long, I don't think we got any way to go.
Yeah, because there's been talks about the brass band moving to that club and that club, Kevin Hunt moving to Kaizer Chiefs.
Us, it's gonna be over with us. To be fair, it's gonna be over with us. I'm talking about some person or some people who have been rallying behind Wits for 20 years, like myself. I started supporting Wits in 1995. Before they go to win the double of 1995 with the likes of Bradley Carnell. They went to relegation 2005. We were supporting Wits at the first division. They came back supporting Wits. So if they go to rename the club and rebrand the club, do you think this is the same Wits that we've been supporting for years? This is not Wits at all. It's just a different team. And then the person age 40 or age 35, can you move from club to club if you are a true supporter? You see? So which means the supporters lost. They dismally lost.
I don't know. I think the same thing that happened to Black Aces supporters, the same thing, that happened to supporters of all the teams whose PSL status was sold previously. Like I've been having chat with my friends. Obviously, they've been trying to sway me to join their different clubs now. Hey, come join us at Sundowns, come join us at Pirates, come join us at Chiefs, and all of that. And I told myself that I'm just going to take some time off, from, I'll support Wits till the end of the season. Hopefully they can do well, finish in the top 3. And then from there, a person moves and starts looking for a new PSL team. So because that's what I think is going to happen. It's sad, I mean, the Wits brass band was something that was known in the country, at our stadium and all of that. And now what's going to happen to that? Maybe they will continue supporting the Varsity Cup team, or they'll join another team to, lodge their support there now, because it's sad, man, because now all these clothes we have of the team, it's basically going to be memories, That's what we just have to hold on. The titles we won under Kevin Hunt, we won, our first PSL title. So it's just tough times, man. Tough times are lasting. Demi lied to us, man. Tough times are lasting now.
Nice one. That's fine, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's touch now based on players. We heard what Matupu said. He wants to go back to SuperSport. We've been here before even the confirmation. We've been hearing rumors about Tulani going to Pirates, going to Sundowns, going to Chiefs. You have Hoto, you have Domingos, you have Tupa. I mean, what do you think is going on with the Wits players? I mean, look, we know Matupa came out and he said it straight up. He wants to go back to SuperSport. He found out of news of social media. So what are you saying, my guy?
I honestly think it's only fair for these players if, let's say, they cease to exist. The team is gone. I think it's lies with their wages and the transfer fee that will be demanded by Wits. because I mean these are really good players. I mean Thulani Serero is Bafana captain. That team actually had a lot of Bafana players in it, you know, not just at the national team level, at your lower levels too, you know, for SA. So I think it only would make sense for those players to go and improve other PSL teams. Right now, honestly, as a fan, I don't have TTM's best interest at heart. I want them to feel the heat, you know, when they come to it. So those players must go to other teams that will improve them. And Kevin Hunt, and I also don't think these players are going to struggle to get better contracts elsewhere. Not even better contracts, the same contracts at other PSL teams. You know, there's other 50 teams that they can improve. Teams like Stellenbosch could use a great number of Wits players, you know, and they have money. So I honestly think those players, if they can get moves, if the agents can get the moves, they must go and do their business elsewhere, you know. And those that want to go with TTM, they must go with TTM. We will not hold it against them. I mean, these guys are breadwinners, some of them. So hold them ransom because no, stay loyal to Wits or whatnot. Don't go with TTM. If they feel like no, they want to continue with TTM, they must go with TTM. And those that want to go elsewhere, as supporters, we really can't be mad at them for wanting to go and play for the biggest clubs in the country.
First, the league has not ended yet. If you say the team has been sold, do you think these players will still win the 6 remaining games that are left? And when we got relegated 2005, those players who signed the pre-contract on January 2005, Roger Disa decided not to play the players because what they did, they made it clear that they're not coming end of the season. Ren Noble was one of them, and Regan Noble was one of them, and Ryan Hodgkins was one of them. All those players, about 11 players, they signed pre-contracts with other teams, and then Roger decided not to play those players. What happened to Wits? That was from January to June. So now Wits is left with 9 games. If we do 9 times 3, how many points are those? Wits has got a semi-final against Sundowns. Yes, but semi-final against Sundowns, that's a cap of about 4.2 million. And the previous 4 games, Wits played Sundowns, draws. But now, that's why this guy, Alan Felland, was saying there's no sale and there's no such. Even if there is a sale, he will keep on saying there's no sale.
Yes.
Because he knows very well that the moment he announced that there is a sale of the club, he's gonna lose all these points, all these caps. So even if there is a sale, Alan Felland will never say there is a sale of the club up until the last games.
It's a mouthful, 2D.
Yeah,
it is look, as football stalkers, our stance is that it is very unfortunate. It's very sad that we this culture it keeps on giving and giving and giving, and we look, as much as at the moment it's a bit hush hush with Celtics, but it seems to be the norm every season. I think as supporters of football in South Africa, we should brace ourselves that this is going to be an ongoing thing, season by season, especially with the year that we were hit by COVID-19, where it basically changed everything. And teams are still going to struggle financially. But I don't know, do you have any parting words that you want to say, and also promoting your YouTube channel and also your handle on social media?
Well, my parting words is to all Wits supporters, man, is don't despair. It's unfortunate that the management of the club handled the whole situation as they handled it. They were not transparent with everything, but don't despair. Let's continue supporting the PSL. And I really hope that with now, it came out last week that players are officially allowed to go back to training, that the PSL will give us direction in terms of exactly how they're planning on bringing back football. They already wrote to FIFA in terms of when they want to finish the league. So hopefully we'll get more details regarding that soon, to know when players will be tested, how many times, and exactly how all of that will be done. So to all supporters, let's support Wits till the end of the season. And to the players also, those, I just hope, man, they find peace in all of this. I can imagine the turmoil they're going through. So yeah, man, always love to this club. I'll always love them. It's unfortunate what happened. And also on social media, you can find me on Instagram at the original Thuli, the _original _Thuli, and Instagram. And then on Twitter, you can find me at One Boy's Grandson. On Twitter, that's my handle. And yeah, man, you can check me also out on a lot of football. With football now coming back, you can just expect a lot of content there. So yeah, and thank you very much for having me on Football Stalkers, man. I really enjoyed my time here, Ivan.
To me, I'll only say to the supporters, let's rally behind the team till the end of the season. Any other news that are coming from outside, we must just ignore them. We must just rally behind the team till the end of the season. Then we will see what's next.
Okay, and your handle?
My handle is at BGKIELIE.
Well, you heard it from Hutzile, guys. You heard it from Hutzile. Thuli from Khwelea Bolo, a vet supporter who obviously is devastated at the news that the club that was supporting for years will now cease to exist. And we know that many other supporters are very devastated. We saw even former players such as Darren Keith. It's very sad that all those years that he spent at the club will now be wiped off. And a club that won a league a couple of years ago, no more. But you know it, guys. You can comment, whether on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter. Look, have your say, guys. What do you think needs to be done with this NSL handbook, the clause regarding purchasing of club members? What is your view on vets? What are your memories of Bidvest Vets? Get in there. It's the Master Tactician Fan. I am signing out. Cheers, guys.